Happy New Year. Well, I mean, it didn't come off like I thought it would, but you know, it's a couple of days after the new year. But in this video, we'll talk about something that will help you as a new breeder, or maybe you're an existing breeder, just to maybe ramp up what you're doing and to set you for success for breeding a double visual ball python project. Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Paul with Spheric Reptiles, and I thank you so much for tuning in at this 2026. I gotta repeat that, 2026. I know inevitably I'm going to say 2025 to someone, and they will correct me. You know, shame on me. But anyway, I thank you so much for tuning in to this video on how to start a double recessive ball python breeding project. Now, if you're new to the channel, I definitely thank you for watching. Go ahead and hit that subscribe and like button if I do my job. And if you're a returning viewer, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, I will continue to bring good content to you from the feedback that I've been getting from the comments. It looks like I'm doing a pretty good job because, let me let y'all know, just at the beginning of the year, this channel is only geared for people, first, that are not snake snobs, and two, people that are just, sometimes you just get stuck, you look for information and it seems like you can't find it. So hopefully on this channel with Spheric Reptiles, I'm able to help you and give you some information that you can actually translate into your collection, right? Because what are we doing? We're all investing in these animals. We're all spending time with these animals. We love them, we're feeding them, we're growing them. And if you choose to cross that hurdle into breeding, hopefully I can help you. If not with breeding, with basic husbandry. But let's get into it. So, breeding double recessive projects versus quad and triple head projects, right? So if you can remember from some previous videos, I'm always saying do your own thing. So if you try to chase that triple, that quad, eventually it'll be a pentarecessive or a hexarecessive or 5 or 6 recessive traits. And so how long would it take you to actually get that? And if you're a new breeder or a small breeder like we are, do you necessarily have the time to do so? You might. So I'm not setting limitations on what you can and can't do, but what I am going to say is this. If you choose to go with a double recessive breeding project, you will find that you have relevance and significance in not only the ball python hobby, but the reptile hobby at large. When you go to vend or when you go to sell your animals, you'll find more people wanting to see your animals, wanting to acquire your animals because you'll have something different. How is that? I mean, double recessives have been around for a while. Yes, they have. But if you look at the number of incomplete dominant traits that have been stacked up on them to just really compound or to really express how beautiful those double recessive traits are, they're none to little. I mean, do your own searches. You're looking at the screen. I'm going to run through a couple just to see, you know, like I'm going to use Desert Ghost Hypo. So if I use Desert Ghost Hypo, you don't see that many. Right? And this is just a little small amount. Now, so if I use Clown Pied, and you look at your screen, I'm going to run through them again, and you see there just aren't a lot of choices. It's like a few and far between. You're going to find Yellow Belly, you're going to find Asphalt, maybe. You're going to find Orange Dream, Fire. You're going to find Pastel, but once you start looking for the stacking of the incomplete dominance, you're not going to see it. So with this video, hopefully I can show you in 3 years how you can get what you want, right? And then I'm going to have real numbers on there that I found. You know, I'm going to have a low end and a high end because, again, I don't want to set limitations on what you can do, but let's get right into it. In year one, you need to have done all of your research on what you want to do. So you've chosen a double recessive project, and there's a lot of recessives out there. Hopefully you've done your research and you've distinguished between which ones that are good for you and which ones are not good for you, and you've narrowed it down to one. And this video is just focusing on one. So for the purposes of this video, I'll use a Dreamsicle project because that's one that we're working on. That's one that we've already produced some hatchlings with, and we're trying to make some visuals this year for the first time with an animal that we acquired, and we've grown her up and now she's able to reproduce. We tried out our male Maximus last year with some proven breeders that are on the screen here, and now we're looking at using him with Chroma. Chroma is a black pastel inchy yellow belly pie that's heifer lavender. So we're going to try to get some great combinations when we mix her with Maximus, who's a blackhead leopard confusion dreamsicle or lavender albino piebald. So to start off with, I'm going to say get you 2 double head females, and it doesn't matter what stage you get them at. You can get them as hatchlings, you can get them at juveniles, subadults, or adults. I'm going to say find the best price, get the most bang for your buck. So what I'm going to say is on these females, these 2 double head females, you're going to spend about $300 on, because right now the ball python market, it's really a buyer's market, so you can get a lot of bang for your buck. Now, when it comes to your visual, because I'm going to say get those double heads and get you 1 visual female. So in this case, we're using a black pastel yellow belly inchy pied that is also head for lavender albino. You spend an average of $250 to $1,000. So with that, you can get a lot. So that's not saying that you can get incomplete dominant stacked on. It seems like the more animal will cost will be because of those incomplete dominant morphs that are stacked on top. So if you had a clown pied that is yellow belly, inchy, and orange dream, you're going to pay more for that than just a regular clown pied, right? Or if you look for a desert ghost hypo, you're going to pay more for a desert ghost hypo that's chocolate, inchy, yellow belly, and asphalt, versus one that's just a desert ghost hypo. I mean, it just makes sense because those are harder to come by. And in that case, then you start going into supply and demand. But anyway, right now you've spent about $300 and anywhere from $250 to $1,000 on your female. The next thing you need is equipment. You need to get your temperature and your humidity monitors, and they're going to run you anywhere from $40 to $80. Then you have to get your housing. Now, housing is the most subjective thing that you can do. So, of course, we have videos on the rack system, which are right here. And, you can actually get away with very minimal cost when it comes to housing your animals. But, you got to kind of think about their larger sizes. They grow, so you can buy something that's smaller for them because these will be just 4 animals total. Or you can go all the way up. So I don't want to set your limit. So I'm going to say for your housing, you'll spend about, estimating $200 to $1,000. Now, again, I don't want to set the limitations, so it's up to you. For bowls and substrate, because we can't leave those out, to supply hydration to the animals, and you have to have substrate of some sort, whether it's paper or not. You're going to spend about $60 to $120 on these bowls and this substrate. And then we're going to go to thermostats. So what I'm going to say for thermostats, if you get the BN Link, one that's an on and off thermostat, they run about $20. So I would say get 2 of those, as you need one as a backup. So that's about $40 up to $225 for the VE300 X2, or you can get a herpostat for about the same price. But either way, you need some sort of way to control the heat. Now, I didn't mention the under tank heat, but I don't know how you'll be supplying your heat, but that's why that all goes under housing. Now, when it comes to rodents, right now, if you start this project, just thinking about the cost for the rodents for these animals, and I'm saying you're feeding them every week, and they're starting off at a small, but I'm going to estimate that you're going to spend an average of $350 on your rodents, right? So with $350, that is going to cover you for the entire year. So if we look at the average prices that I'm estimating that you're going to spend in that first year with just those 3 females. Now, you might have other animals. In particular, I'm talking about a specific breeding project here to get a double recessive. You're starting from scratch. You're going to spend anywhere from $1,270 to $3,775. So that seems like a lot of money, right? But if you're starting a breeding project, then you already have an idea that you have to spend some money on it and you have to house these animals. Now, if you have these other things already in place, then you don't have to put those into your costs. But for someone that's just starting out and they're interested, I wanted to put these numbers out there because they need to know what they can expect to spend. The benefit of you starting off with these 3 females and not having your male yet is that you get to see the husbandry. So the worst thing I think you can do is buy your females and your males at the same time, unless I'm going to fair balance because I've said something different before, unless you buy the females as subadults and you buy the male as a juvenile or a hatchling, in which case they're going to basically reach sexual maturity around the same time. Males grow a little bit slower than females, but females get bigger, so it makes sense that a female would have a larger growth spurt than most of the males. But the benefit to you would be that you are already planning the foundation for your project. So by the time your females grow for 1 whole year, you already know exactly what they eat. You know the timings that they eat. So hopefully you'll have all of them on the same feeding schedule and they'll all get to the same size at that 1 year time frame. So hopefully that's a good benefit for you. And then, you can actually see the numbers that you're going to be spending so you can plan accordingly. You can buy your housing. None of this stuff has to happen overnight, guys. You can put this together in a couple of years and then say, all right, now I'm ready to pursue a project or I'm ready to own animals, right? So none of what I say is static. You can take your time and do it however you want, because remember, you're the one that's the most important, because you're the one that's spending the money. Year 2, I'm going to say you need to focus on the animal's growth. And so for that, I'm just going to pull out an animal right now. This is Sycamore, and I pulled her out before, and she's all balled up. She's still digesting her food a little bit. It's been 3 days since she's eaten, but I just want to show you this. So she was hatched earlier, about mid-2025, and she's still relatively small. You see, she fits in the palm of my hand. She's a little bit over 200 grams. I'm going to go ahead and put her back, but I'm going to use her to discuss what you're doing. So remember, you bought that hatchling or that juvenile, so now I want you to focus on growth. I want you to really track everything that you track. When you feed, what you feed, if they ate, if they constricted and they didn't consume. Your water changes. I need you to track their temperatures and the humidity. I need you to track as much as you can, because remember, this is setting a foundation. So whatever you get as a good foundation will help you to learn when something is wrong with your animal. So when they're not eating, when we're talking about a particular animal, so is it a temperature? Is it a humidity? Is it the rat? Or is it the mouse? Is it frozen thawed? Is it live? I don't know. But that's something that you definitely need to track. And then what I need you to also do is network. Go to reptile shows, jump in forums, ask questions of people to see exactly what it is that they're doing that are making them successful. Bring that back, compare that to what your notes are, and then you can see maybe there's somewhere where you're missing and then they're hitting, and then you can get those tips from them, right? So that's the number one thing that I do all the time. So whenever I go to reptile expos, I constantly ask people, so is there anything else that you're doing that you maybe didn't expect to do? Or what changes have you made over the 3 years or 4 years or 5 years or however long they've been keeping between the feeding, between the humidity, and then how are they maintaining? I mean, it's just a myriad of questions that you can ask, but this is good. But the best thing that you can do is stay focused. So in focusing, now you got your females in year 1. So in year 2, I want you to go out and buy your male. I want you to go out and buy your male. You're going to spend anywhere from $500 to about $1,500, depending on what incomplete dominant genes you stack on or the scarcity of the double recessive project that you choose. But we chose Maximus, and when we bought Maximus, it was one of those things to where it just kind of fell into our lap. It was a good opportunity for us, and we got a great deal. You spend about $500 to $1,500 on your male. So for substrate, you can look to spend about the same thing, but you're going to have some supplies that you are going to have to get. So you need paper towels, you might need chlorhexidine, you might need F10 or something like that. Well, those are things that you still got to put into the amount that you need to care for your animal. You're going to spend about $125 to $200 on that. And then for your rodent costs, you're going to spend approximately $468 to $572 on your rodents, right? So because now you went from 3 to 4 animals. They're not all going to eat the same thing. That's why there's a fluctuation there. And if you see, we use Rodent Pro on the screen, and they do a great job in packaging their rodents. There's a lot of different other rodent manufacturers out there that you can buy from, and all these examples for our rodents are with frozen thawed. I'm not using live because the live price fluctuates so much depending on where you live that I'm going to leave that up to you. But these numbers are, again, they're estimates. So I'm going to say for your rodents, $468 to $572. I think that's fair, right? For your year 2 total, you're looking at $1,093 to $2,273 for an estimated price, right? So it's not that big of a gap in year 2 because you're not really doing anything but buying the 1 male for your project. So now you got 1.3 for your breeding project, or 1 male and 3 females. Your females have already had a year to grow, so hopefully you've gotten them up to about 500 to 700 grams. And now you got your male. Hopefully you're buying your male. Even if you buy them at a hatchling, you bought them over 100 grams. So now you got this year to just focus on growth. Feed those animals. Don't keep the food away from those babies, and change that water at least twice a week. And then what you'll see is that with a little bit of exercise, and as long as they feel comfortable, they should grow. Don't overfeed them. Don't rush it. I'm saying, like with these animals, take your time, because this is your breeding stock. You can't afford for them to get a digestive issue. You can't afford for them to get a respiratory issue. So really stay on top of that husbandry, like someone that owns saltwater fish will stay on top of their water chemistry. The benefit to you is now you have everything you need. You got your male, you got your females, and now all you got to do is sit back and water it and watch them grow. 3, this is when everything comes into fruition, right? This is when your plan comes into action. You spent the last 2 years raising animals, buying animals, and you've got nothing. You got nothing. All you got are animals. You got 4 snakes. They haven't bred yet, but hopefully, by year 3, your females are at least 1,200 to 1,400 grams, and your males at least 700 plus grams, so that they are all sexually mature, right? So by year 3, you know that your animals are mature. Like, so your animals might be a little bit small, and then that's what you want this time for, so that you can make those adjustments. But the worst thing you can do is to take that female that's like 1,000 grams just because she's 3 years old and try to breed her. Let her get up to weight. Now it'll take a little bit longer, but I promise you, it'll be well worth it. Like we have an animal up here, Daisy. She's still just 1,000 grams and she's 3 years old. So I can't even think about breeding her. I'm just trying to get her to eat every week. Now she'll eat like every 3 feedings or something like that. And that's okay. You know, it's like, there's no rush for her to eat. I'm gonna let her take her time, because in reality, if they were in the wild, they all would eat at different circumstances. They would all eat at different times. So they're not all going to jump out as a 100-gram animal and then be up to 230 grams by the first month. So what are your expenses? Your expenses are, you need an incubator. So if you look at the screen, you can see I got sea serpents up there. So you can expect to spend for an incubator anywhere from $400 to $1,300. And then if you go to the Wheelbanks incubator, then that's where your prices are. And so those are the commercially available incubators that I know a lot of breeders have, and they are working very well. So the advantage of the sea serpent one is it's kind of fail proof. They have a fan in there. It has the ability to heat. The thermostat is external, so you have a separate probe, you have a separate thermostat that's on the outside to control it. So you don't have to open up that incubator if you want to check or change the temperatures. You can do it all externally. In fact, you can actually buy the thermostat with the incubator with sea serpents. Now with Wheelbanks incubators, it's an on and off incubator, so it's not pulse proportional, but it does heat and cool. So Wheelbanks incubator, the thermostat is on the inside, so you have to open up the incubator every time. Now that's a small thing to think about, but I don't know which one is better or worse. Most of us live in air-conditioned environments, so hopefully you don't have your incubator in a garage. I would say move that into a bedroom or in a house somewhere where hopefully you're not living above 85 degrees, because then with the sea serpents, it does not have the ability to cool, whereas the Wheelbanks ones does. But I'm going to say that both of the incubators are solid, man. I mean, they're all solid. I have friends that have the sea serpents. I have friends that have the Wheelbanks. We happen to have the Wheelbanks. Get one as low as 400 or one as high as 1,300, and it's up to you. Just shop around and figure out what's good for you. Look at Facebook Marketplace or some other places. Check with some people that are going out of business or closing up shop to see if you can get that incubator at a less of a cost. Now for your egg box setup, I'm going to say that you need about $50 to $100 depending on you can use vermiculite or perlite. You can use water. You need egg trays if you want them. You can use diffuser egg crates. Just make sure that you have something that will keep the humidity in without the eggs getting super soggy. And there's a lot of videos on how to set it up. We got one right here, but I'm not going to say that that's the only one. I'm going to say that's a good reference. So use ours as a reference, but continue to do your research. But I'm going to still say about $50 to $100 for that egg setup box. Now, one box shouldn't cost you $50. So I'm saying that if you're breeding ball pythons, go ahead and buy you enough to fill up the incubator that you choose, just in the case that, so you don't have to buy that again later, right? I mean, it only makes sense. You probably get a better deal and you can find everything at once if you buy it all at once. For the substrate and the supplies, again, that's $125 to $200, and the rodent cost did not change. $468 to approximately $572. It brings you to a year 3 total, subtotal estimate of $1,093 to $2,172. And then you see all of this on the screen, right? So these are estimates, guys, and these are estimates. But let me tell you, if you make it to this point to where you're buying your incubator and you got your egg box setups, you've already been growing up your animals. And let me tell you, man, this is the best time, because now the only thing you have to do is track the follicles, and but now you are not going to be spending any more money, right? You can buy an ultrasound machine, and that's going to add on anywhere from $1,000 to about $3,000, depending on if you buy new or you buy used. But that's an added thing. You can really tell if your females are ready if you notice them getting bigger, if their appetite increases after you introduce a male. Then you can actually see the swelling in the body and all this other stuff. But hey, just to get you through the project, man, let me tell you how much you can expect to spend total in 3 years. So there's a low end and a high end. Don't get mad at me about the high end, but some people got longer money than I do. So, if you got that long money, you do what you want to do. You can put your animals in full bioactive enclosures and you can raise them up. Just crowd them up. That's all I'm going to say, so you can keep them eating. But there's nothing wrong with either one of the situations. So let me tell you these numbers. Your estimated total should be $3,406 up to $8,219. Now, that's a big difference. So what I'm going to say is always shoot for the lower end unless it's something that just conflicts with the way that you want to care for your animals. And then where you want to splurge, just go ahead and splurge, because remember, you're the one that's financing it, and no one can tell you anything about how to raise your animals, right? As long as you're taking care of your animals, you're feeding your animals, they're not getting sick, and they're growing. I mean, that's what the hobby is all about. And that's where the joy in doing this is all about. But let me tell you, man, when you get to where you're producing those first animals, when you see those first locks, I'm telling you, you are going to get so excited. You're going to get so excited. And then when that female goes off of food, and then eventually she goes through that ovulation, the pre-lactation, she lays those eggs, you're going to get excited again. Man, look, my tongue is getting all twisted. You're going to get so excited. But when you see those hatchlets come out, I'm telling you, this is going to be crazy. It's going to be so crazy. Like, especially if you come home to it and you see them, it doesn't matter what your day was like. You're going to see those eggs. You're going to see them pipping through the eggs, the shells. And I mean, you're just going to be so excited. But the best thing, man, I'm telling you, the best thing is when someone else chooses to purchase an animal from you. And all this hard work that you put into getting them there, choosing them, setting out the groundwork, setting your foundation, buying a male, raising them up, feeding them every week. And then for someone else to actually want that animal from you, man, I'm telling you, it really touches you. It touches you a lot. It touches me with every person that chooses to get an animal from us. So, man, I talked about a whole lot. If you like this type of content and what I talk to you about, hit that like button and that subscribe. But let me know what you think. I really do care about what you think. I've learned so much from your comments. This is so fun, and it's 2026. I'm getting older. My doctor told me, I depended on y'all, but my doctor told me I need to lose some weight. So I got to get to losing weight. I probably need to go on a chicken and fish diet now. Stop eating so much red meat. Down in Texas, we like our steaks, man. We like our Texas Roadhouse, right, baby?
Exactly.
Yeah, we like that Texas Roadhouse, man. You see me? I ain't going to even turn to the side because I'm like, it's a black Santa Claus. But anyway.
You like everything that comes from Indiana.
Stop it. I don't like everything that comes from Indiana.
Texas Roadhouse came from there.
Yeah. I like Texas Roadhouse, but I love you. Those are the only two things I love from Indiana, right? Michael Jackson, Muhammad Ali, they came from there too, but I don't love them. But anyway, guys, enjoy that time that you spend with your reptiles. Man, I'm telling you, it's so fun. And whatever you do, love that family while you have them. Thank you.